Two Davids, one ring, and a clash of styles that has boxing fans buzzing with excitement. On February 1st, David Benavidez and David Morrell will battle it out in the 175-pound division, as they will no doubt showcase their unique skill sets in a bout that promises fireworks. Not to mention, these two do not like each other. David Benavidez, known as the Mexican Monster, has certainly lived up to his name due to the relentless pressure, quick combinations, and his unyielding drive to break down his opponents and take them out.
Oh, heavy right hand! Down goes Andrade in the fourth!
While in the other corner, we have a slick and versatile Cuban southpaw, and a fighter whose technical mastery and power truly make him a formidable opponent for anyone in the ring.
We said Morrell wanted to make a statement, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Down goes Motown base burst. This one is over.
In today's tactical overview, I'm going to dive into how these fighters stack up and explore what it will take for either man to claim victory. So on that note, let's get right into it. David Benavidez has been in sensational form over the last 2 years, solidifying his status as one of boxing's must-watch fighters. With opportunities at super middleweight limited due to his struggle to get the fight with Saul Alvarez, Benavidez made the strategic decision to move up to light heavyweight in 2024. In June, he faced former WBC light heavyweight champion Alexander Gvozdyk. Here, Benavidez showed his adaptability to a new weight class, employing his pressure, counterpunching, and durability to secure a unanimous decision victory over the skilled Ukrainian. Benavidez now stands as a formidable two-division threat and is setting his sights on the ultimate prize, a showdown with the winner of Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. However, his victory over Gvozdyk has sparked discussions about his effectiveness at 175 pounds. Some critics suggest that facing opponents of equal size may pose new challenges for Benavidez, who previously leveraged his size advantage at 168, while there also has been concerns about his ability to comfortably make the 175-pound limit, given his physique leading up to this fight. But this upcoming bout versus David Morrell Jr., Benavidez is expected to impose his size and pressure from the outset. His ability to close distance swiftly and unleash his powerful combinations will be crucial in penetrating Morrell's defences. Historically, opponents such as Caleb Plant and even Andrade found success against Benavidez in the early rounds, only to succumb to his relentless pressure and pace in the later stages. Benavidez often employs a high guard defense, effectively blocking and rolling with punches. This technique allows him to counterpunch aggressively, capitalizing on opponents' mistakes at mid to close range. And this approach actually mirrors fighters like James Toney as an aggressive counterpuncher. To disrupt Morrell's rhythm, Benavidez will likely maintain a high tempo, forcing the Cuban to operate outside his comfort zone. By cutting off the ring and applying consistent pressure, I think he will aim to exploit any defensive lapses as Morrell opens up or even starts to tire. The orthodox versus southpaw dynamic also adds another layer of complexity to this matchup. Luckily, we got to see Benavidez in one of his more recent fights versus Andrade, and this involved using lots of different feints as he applied pressure, whether that be with his feet, body, or lead hand. This in turn would help set up his power jab or right hand to the body. But what I noticed was, he was always changing up where he targeted, which in actual fact makes him quite unpredictable at keeping his opponents guessing. And this is even backed up by his stats, as he lands an average of 26.1%, just about the same as pound for pound star Naoya Inoue, while he also has a power punch connection of 44.8%, one of the best in the sport. However, Morrell has shown he's just as accurate in his last 5 fights. Furthermore, his overall punch connection is one of the highest, 37.9%. Second best behind Jesse Rodriguez. But one thing is for sure, Benavidez doesn't waste punches. His focus is on landing with power and creating panic under his relentless pressure and forcing mistakes that he can exploit. He's never been a one-punch knockout artist, rather someone that breaks you down round by round with his powerful punch connection. But what key areas does he need to do to exploit Morrell? While the Cuban can be elusive, he's very capable of using his gliding footwork or slipping and rolling shots when he chooses to. However, for the most part, he actually goes against the grain of most typical Cuban boxers. He actually often opts to stand in front of his opponent behind his high guard, looking to sit down on his punches and set up his own power shots. And I actually think this approach could play into Benavidez's hands, particularly when Morrell pushes him back, as we've seen him get too overconfident at times, completely opening up as he throws his left hand, as we've seen him square up and drop his guard, leaving him very vulnerable to counters. And I really do think this is the perfect opportunity for Benavidez to counter with his right or left hand, or even catching counters, something he's so good at. Morrell also has a tendency to take little breaks during the exchanges, relying on his high guard, trying to bait you in himself. This habit though can expose him to body shots and even uppercuts, forcing him to reset.
Left hook to the body by Ido. Ido showing some fire here in the belly in this 5th round here tonight in his adopted hometown of Minneapolis.
And in these instances, I feel Benavidez' combination punching, and particularly his left hook to the liver and right hand to the body, will be key weapons in exploiting these openings and breaking him down.
Man, it's a battle of Davids, but Lemieux sporting. Immediately on display. Usually against a guy like David Benavidez.
Jabs, I'm sorry for
It's one punch. I'm not suggesting it.
I hear you.
Andre left, that's the softball.
But talking to what Al's mentioned.
He also has to be aware of Morrell's active southpaw lead hand, and Benavidez' ability to block and time counters could neutralise it if he's able to counter him. If Benavidez can disrupt Morrell's rhythm and make him hesitant to open up, he could very well find the opportunities to land clean counters to hurt him and gain the upper hand, and unleash his combinations, and even potentially fight him on the inside. From what we've seen, he's a far better fighter in these positions, using lots of framing to set up his power shots. For Benavidez though, balance will be critical. He needs a calculated approach in the early rounds, applying pressure while staying defensively aware and targeting the body. I also feel his experience against higher caliber of opposition gives him an edge going into this, but if he can drag Morrell into deep waters, this fight could swing heavily in his favour. Now, let's take a look at the Cuban boogeyman, David Morrell. Like Benavidez, Morrell has been chasing a big fight at super middleweight for some time, with the Canelo matchup looking very unlikely for him too. Morrell has repeatedly called out a showdown with Benavidez, believing his unique blend of skill, power and athleticism makes him the man to dethrone the Mexican monster. Morrell comes from the famed Cuban school of boxing, boasting an impressive amateur record of 130 for 5, and while his professional record may appear modest on paper, don't let that fool you. This is a fighter with elite pedigree. Originally starting his career at light heavyweight, Morrell moved down to 168 pounds, where he quickly captured the WBA regular title. His professional journey has largely been straightforward, with his last bout against Kalajic offering a real test, though he ultimately proved his class. As expected from a Cuban fighter, Morrell is highly versatile, and thanks to the extensive amateur background and school he was brought up in, he can box effectively on the outside, using his jab to pick opponents apart, or operate at mid-range or in the pocket, throwing sharp, well-timed combinations. Heading into this fight with Benavidez, it'll be intriguing to see which approach Morrell chooses. He may look to stand his ground in the centre of the ring and prove he's just as strong, skilled and slippery in close quarters as the Mexican monster. However, history suggests Benavidez will likely aim to push Morrell back and cut off the ring, showing his dominance to the judges. If that's the case, Morrell will need to use his superior footwork to maintain the distance and prevent Benavidez from setting up his own powerful combinations.
And you know, I call him the Matrix because his movement is like the Matrix. It's not easy to hit, and I'm talking Morrell.
For me, Morrell's southpaw jab will be a crucial weapon in this fight. He excels at using it to control the range and create openings for his powerful left hand.
This one's scheduled for 12.
One of his signature setups involves backing up after an exchange and moving to his left. This often lures opponents into closing the distance again, allowing Morrell to land his left hand to the body or head while establishing that outside foot position.
His accurate punching power.
I think he's going to definitely test him. He's going to take him some rounds.
As seen in the Andrade fight, Benavidez is adept at blocking and absorbing these kinds of shots. However, when delivered with power, they can force him to cover up or retreat. That said, Morrell must avoid becoming too predictable. If he is consistently squaring up or drops his hands after throwing the left hand trying to land something of significance, Benavidez may eventually counter him. To keep Benavidez on the back foot, Morrell must be willing to throw in combinations as well. We've seen in the past opponents find success by making Benavidez hesitant to open up.
A few rounds, even though they've been sparring. Ooh, wow. Beautiful shot by
Blistering combination by Andrade.
Ergashev. You have to accept, and there's Andre doing good work.
Against him in each round, just over 5.
That's pretty amazing.
Oh, a nice combination to close.
Last time he went 12 rounds against Lennox Allen. Early shots and down goes Gavronsky. The hooks.
Fast, clean, Cuban boxing.
Put a plan together. He wouldn't let us know what that was, and I just think he's hoping for the best here, but he just doesn't.
Additionally, Morrell needs to dominate that lead hand battle. His lead hand is far more versatile than Benavidez's, and it really could be the key weapon in setting up his offense while also controlling the pace of the fight. Morrell often uses probing double jabs to draw out reactions, which he counters with precision. He also does a great job in terms of interchanging it with his lead right hook, which can completely catch opponents off guard.
He didn't have a jab. You know, that's the reason he was just falling around opponents. And then once in the...
Oh, nice right hand, just as we were doubting the power of Morrell, he steps up.
And occasionally, he likes to follow up with a left hand for added impact.
There's a left hand, down goes your Bolsonaro for the first time. There's a left hand.
If Morrell decides to stand and trade with Benavidez using that high guard, he does have the capability to hold his ground and set up counterpunches as we've seen in the past. However, this could be a risky strategy to me, as Morrell is far more effective when there's a bit of space between him and his opponent, and trading in those close quarters would play right into Benavidez's strengths in my opinion, and Morrell must avoid giving him that advantage if he's to win. For me, this is a fascinating clash, and one I've wanted to see for the last couple of years, and it really does have the potential to define the future of the light heavyweight division in terms of who might get a title shot. On one side, you have the relentless pressure and overwhelming firepower of Benavidez, a fighter who thrives on breaking his opponents both physically and mentally, while on the other side you've got Morrell, who brings that poise and precision, and a Cuban master of blending athleticism, footwork, and versatility in his punches. But the big question is, who will dictate the terms of the fight? Will Benavidez's aggression and volume prove too much for Morrell to handle? Or can Morrell maintain the space and composure needed to outbox the Mexican monster? Or will he go against the grain and stand his ground and show he's just as good in the trenches? For me, this is a fight that has the potential to be an absolute classic. It's a clash of styles, culture, and competitive spirit to be the absolute best. And I can't wait to see who comes out on top. This has been Jamie from Boxing Life. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this fight. Do you think Benavidez will continue his impressive run, or will the Cuban Morrell Jr. prove he is in fact better than Benavidez? Before I finish up, I just want to let you know about my boxing Patreon. If you want more content that go into boxing tactics, styles and techniques, my Patreon has access to exclusive in-depth film studies and boxing topics not found here on YouTube. You can support the channel and join the community, while my champion tier group level allows you to ask for an exclusive film study once a month. You can try it out for free with a 7-day trial. I look forward to connecting with you there. This has been Jamie from Boxing Life. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.